Canto 3, 15th chapter, 43rd verse. So one thing before coming to this verse, let's see how we have reached to this verse in this chapter. So last time also we were discussing this chapter, a verse about the glories of the Vaikuntha planets, how everything is situated there. And when I was discussing a previous verse where uh, the uh, the residents of Vaikuntha were going in airplanes with their consorts, even though they have attraction to each other, but their ultimate attraction is towards the lotus feet of the Lord. They wanted to serve the Lord. In that mood, they have their interactions. So, and then it mentioned about the Vaikuntha women. They are very beautiful as Lakshmi, and sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls to receive the Lord's glance. So they are sweeping the marble walls to see how the Lord appears in the marble. So in the 22nd verse, actually there is about while the Lakshmis worship the Lord in their own gardens with tulasi leaves, they see their reflection in the water that appear more beautiful due to the Lord's kissing, because Lord's face is coming into that. It's that became more beautiful. And then last time the verse was discussed was who all cannot enter Vaikuntha. Unfortunate people who are not interested in the descriptions of the Vaikuntha, they hear unworthy topics. For those people, it is not like applicable to go and enter the Vaikuntha. Then comes a very beautiful verse number 24, which tells the importance of the human form. Even the demigods desire human birth, in which one can attain religious truth and knowledge. A human who does not understand the Supreme Lord and his abode is completely bewildered by his Maya. So even demigods wants to take birth as a human, because in the human form of life, there is a chance of self-realization and going to the ultimate revelation of the Lord. So that is there. So even demigod wants to take birth. And then 25th verse, again, there is another qualification given that devotees whose body change in ecstasy and who perspire and breathe heavily due to hearing the glories of the Lord are eligible to go into Vaikuntha. Then from verse number 26 onwards, after describing the glory of Vaikuntha planet, then Brahmaji again continues on the story of how the Kumaras were actually approaching to Vaikuntha, to give the reference of how the gatekeepers were cursed and how now Diti is having in her womb Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu who are going to come. So that was the context from that previous chapter to this chapter. So when he starts describing from verse number 26 to 36 about how Kumaras cursed Jaya and Vijay, so it tells in verse number 26, it says, by the strength of the Yogamaya, the four Kumaras entered the Vaikuntha planets. They crossed all the 6 gates. But at the 7th gate, where these two, Jaya and Vijay was there, 2 doorkeepers were there. They're looking exactly like the Lord. They had like 4 arms. But somehow their minds were a little disturbed and agitated. That's what's been described there. And then it is said that Kumaras were naked, although the oldest, they looked only 5-year-old and they were self-realized. But Jaya and Vijay displaying a nature displeasing to the Lord. Bhagavata Pratikula Shilo. So they use that nature and blocked their way. They put the block. Nobody stopped till 6th gate. When they reached the 7th gate, which is the last gate to see the audience of the Lord, and they were stopped. So they were so much eager to see the Lord that they could not hold it. They became very angry. And in that verse number 31, it is said, Kamanujena. It means Kama's Anuja is anger. So it came to them, and because their desire to see the Lord was thwarted. And then they reacted and cursed, saying that you are impostors. How is that you too, although in the highest position of service to the Lord, have developed a discordant mentality? And because you have developed that, Then he gave the punishment. Therefore, we consider the apt punishment for you who see duality in Vaikuntha. How could you see duality? Because nobody can enter Vaikuntha if he is not having piety. Why you stopped us? Can any evil-minded person enter Vaikuntha? That was their question. Because you had duality in your mind. That's why go to material world where there are three enemies: lust, anger, and greed, and take birth there. That's what was there. And then Jay and Vijay was so much afraid of terrible curse because they would not be able to see the face of the Lord, which they used to see very frequently. So they asked for forgiveness, and then Kumaras also got some kind of pacified, and they wanted to say something to mitigate that. And from verse number 37 to 45, Lord, looking at what all it is happening, hearing about, he knew everything, but hearing about this, he comes to the door to find out what is happening. And he wanted to keep both the parties at ease, Jay and Vijay, as well as the Kumaras who came for the darshan of the Lord. And from verse number 39 to 41, it is the description of Lord's beautiful form, from his face to his glance, complexion, all those things are very beautifully described. And then there is a description of Lord's beauty being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, defeated by the pride of Lakshmi. That is what explained in verse number 42. Now this verse number 43 is very important because it changed the total mentality, the thought process of the Kumaras. Kumaras are thought to be Brahmavadis. They were in the Brahma realization. Bhagavan realization is not was not present with them because they were focused more on the impersonal aspect of the Lord. And in the verse number 38, it has been also shown that Lord is always seen when they used to meditate in their heart. That is Paramatma realization. But the Bhagavan realization is something which blowed up their mind. And how that happened is very beautifully described in this verse. And let's recite this verse and discuss. So let's recite. Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda.
Tasyaravinda-nayanasya padaravinda.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Sanshobham aksharajusham apichitta tanvo.
Sanshobham
aksharajisham apichitta tanvo.
Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda.
Tasyaravinda-nayanasya padaravinda.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Sanshobham aksharajusham apichitta tanvo.
Sanshobham aksharajusham apichitta tanvo.
More time. Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda.
Tasyaravinda-nayanasya padaravinda.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Kinjalkamishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Antargata swavivarena chakara tesham.
Sanshobham aksharajusham apichitta tanvoh.
Sanshobham aksharajusham apichitta tanvoh.
Please, the voluntary recitations. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द
तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य
पदारविन्दा
किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसीमकरन्दवायुः
मिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायु
अन्तर्गतस्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम्
अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम्
संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वोः
संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वुः.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can try.
Yes, Mataji.
तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायुः किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायुः अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम् अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम् संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वः.
Thank you, Mataji. One more recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द
तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द
किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायुः
किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसीमकरन्दवायुः
अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषाम्
अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार
तेषाम् संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वः
संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वोः.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So let's see how this verse goes. This is a beautiful verse because this verse transformed the hearts of the Kumaras and they became attached to the personal feature of the Lord. So, Tasyaravinda Nayanasya Padaravinda. Tasya it's referring to the Supreme Lord. Aravinda Nayanasya. Aravinda Nayanasya is lotus side. Padaravinda means lotus feet of the Lord. So when they say Aravinda Nayanasya means they saw the Lord, and they actually in the previous verse they offered obeisances to the Lord. So when they are paying obeisances, then what happened is Padaravinda Kinjalka Mishra. So Kinjalka is the toes. Kinjalka is the toe. Mishra Tulasi, Mishra, mixed Tulasi, Makaranda Vayu. So Tulasi Makaranda. Tulasi Makaranda means the scent of the Tulasi, which is there in the toes of the Lord. Okay. That Vayu. And also, Lord is also having a garland which is full of Tulasi. And also towards in his feet also Tulasi has been offered. So in both ways, if we see that Vayu, that air that is coming, Antaragataha Swavivarena, it came in. Swavivara means within the nostrils. Antargata, when it entered. Chakara Tesham. So Tesham means those four Kumaras. What happened? Sankshobham Akshara. Sankshobham is some agitation happening. Akshara Jusham is because they were Akshara Jusham means they were looking at the Akshara form of the Lord, which is the impersonal form of the Lord. Who have the concept of the impersonal form of the Lord? The Kumaras. So in their heart, there was agitation. And Chitta Tanvo means then agitated is going into their mind and into their body. So what it says is just by smelling the beautiful tulsi leaves, the aroma of tulsi leaves coming from the garland as well as the toes of the Supreme Lord and entering into the nostrils, it agitated within them. So many different agitations happen, which changed their concept of impersonal aspect of the Lord, because they saw now the personal form towards the personal form of the Lord. So let's see the translation and we can see the purport to understand it better.
When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experience a change both in body and in mind, even though they are attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. The same thing has been breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet. And then a change in the body and the mind, even though they are attached to the impersonal Brahman. Impersonal Brahman is this Akshara Jusham. So that is here. So let's read the purport, which is a small one.
It appears from. Go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. It appears from this verse that the four Kumaras were impersonalists or protagonists of the philosophy of monism, becoming one with the Lord. But as soon as they saw the Lord's features, their minds changed. In other words, the impersonalist who feels transcendental pleasure in striving to become one with the Lord is defeated when he sees the beautiful transcendental features of the Lord. Because of the fragrance of his lotus feet, carried by the air and mixed with the aroma of tulsi, their minds changed. Instead of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, they thought it wise to be devotees. Becoming a servitor of the lotus feet of the Lord is better than becoming one with the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. So Srila Prabhupada here starts with that, giving a description of what it appears from the verse that four Kumaras were impersonalist, Brahmavadis, or they are protagonist of monism. Monism is they see things Brahma and the soul, the Jivatma being one. Okay, so and there is no difference. And then later on they merge. They look for the Sayuja Mukti. So either they are impersonalist or they are a protagonist, means they are actually supporters of the philosophy of monism, of becoming one with the Lord. But as soon as they saw the Lord's features, their mind totally changed because they saw the personal feature of the Lord. Now, beautifully, now I'm going to take you to the description by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and how he describes it. So he describes in his Tika that when the sweetness of the Lord's body produced in them a level of astonishment much higher than the bliss of Brahma, it penetrated within them. What can be said? The wind touching something related to the limb of the Lord made them fall from a position of Brahma and produced great agitation in them. The wind carrying the aroma of tulsi, combined with the red and white of the Lord's toenails, like filaments on the lotus of his feet, enter the sage's mind to take control of the place. So beautifully, now you'll see how he gives some analogies. But without permission, is it not improper to enter into the minds? Just as it would be improper for the Kumaras and others to enter into someone else's inner chambers? But the nostrils are natural, or swa holes for the air. The air entered their nostrils. Whose permission does the air need? Does air need any permission? What happened when the air entered? Their minds and bodies became agitated. First, the mind became very strongly agitated by the changes arising from the bliss. Then the body became, first the mind became agitated, then the body became agitated with tears, hair standing on the end, and perspiration. A person desiring to enter another's country first kills the leader, plunders the place, and disturbs the place. Then he conquers it with his troops. If they were so fixed in the bliss of the Brahma, why should the bliss of realizing Bhagavan make them identify with the Lord? Even though they had been practicing contact with the Brahma, the bliss of Bhagavan was more powerful because of its sweetness. So he gives the analogy of a place being conquered by an enemy. So that's how their heart, their mind was first conquered. And after the mind, then they saw symptoms in their body. And they started feeling the Brahma, that Brahma realization is nothing in the form of, in front of the Bhagavan realization. Everything transformed. They became devotees of the Lord. Because previously, when somebody is a Brahmavadi, he cannot be called as a devotee, because Brahma is impersonal aspect and there is no personal connection, there is no personal reciprocation. So it's not possible to have devotion there. So devotion aspect will only come when there is Lord, when there is God, and when there is a devotee, and the interaction between them. Then only the devotional service or that reciprocation happens. But it was not there, and when they suddenly experienced it, it changed their entire agitated their mind, their body, and all different parts of their body. So because of the fragrance of his lotus feet carried by the air and mixed with aroma of tulsi. Now, importance of tulsi again coming here. We heard that how tulsi is respected by different flowers, very beautiful flowers. They are very beautiful, but still they bow down to tulsi because she is favorite devotee of Lord. So now again, the same thing, the same tulsi is actually transforming. The aroma from the tulsi is transforming the minds. And we have also experienced, like, we are not like getting that thing, but we have experienced that when in the morning there is tulsi, you have gone into a tulsi one and you see the wind coming and it comes to your, like we tend to smell the beauty of the aroma of the tulsi leaves. It actually is very purifying when we, in the morning times or any time when it comes. So what to talk about when it is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord? So it's so beautiful, so enchanting. Instead of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, they thought it wise to be devotees. So see here, so their transformation happened here. So it's transformation of the Kumaras. Becoming a servitor of the lotus feet of the Lord is better than becoming one with the Lord. So with this, what message we get? The message we get is the Bhagavan realization, or the personal aspect of the Lord, is more powerful than his other features. And it is so much powerful that it can transform the hearts of elevated devotees or Brahmavadis like 4 Kumaras and convert them to have that beautiful reciprocation between what a devotee has with the Supreme Lord or with the devotees of other devotees of the Lord. So that is the beauty of this verse. And this verse is much quoted because it transformed the Kumaras from their impersonal concept to the personal concept of the Lord. So I'll pause here. We can take any reflections, questions, corrections. Thank you.